Have you ever noticed that person sitting quietly in the corner of a busy cafe, eyes steady, rarely speaking, yet somehow commanding attention without saying a word? Maybe you've even been that person yourself, quietly aware of every tiny detail others dismiss. You're not detached, you're intensely present, processing subtleties beneath the noise. You feel the hidden tension behind someone's polite smile, sense unspoken pain in hesitant pauses, notice meanings in silence that words could never capture. Yet people label you quiet, as though something's missing inside you. They mistake your silence for emptiness, your reserve for disinterest. But here's what's truly happening. Beneath that quiet exterior, your mind is carefully absorbing the complexities around you. Silence isn't your escape. It's your way of deeply connecting, of protecting an inner world rich with understanding. Psychological research shows this clearly. People who speak less often carry higher emotional intelligence, greater self-awareness, and a capacity to perceive the world with exceptional depth. Your silence isn't hesitation, it's precise calculation. You don't speak without intention because, for you, words carry immense weight. You know their power and their cost. Here's the truth most people avoid. Noise isn't insight, loudness isn't authenticity, and talking endlessly doesn't guarantee meaningful connection. In fact, sometimes the most powerful voice is the one that's rarely heard. The voice that chooses carefully when, how, and why to speak. So ask yourself this: have you mistaken your greatest strength, your ability to listen, reflect, and hold silence, for weakness simply because the world values loudness over depth? Or are you finally ready to recognize the wisdom in your quietness and reclaim the power you've always possessed? Every quiet person carries within themselves an unseen turbulence, a delicate balance between deep inner sensitivity and the external need for self-preservation. Beneath their calm exterior lies a profound psychological state, heightened perception, coupled with emotional caution. But why does this silence become their refuge? Often, the root of this quietness lies hidden in childhood, a time when speaking openly invited misunderstanding or shame. Perhaps it was the dismissive glance of a parent whenever they voiced a genuine feeling, or a classroom filled with laughter at their sincere yet misunderstood thoughts. Over time, words began to feel dangerous. Speaking openly became synonymous with emotional exposure, vulnerability, and potential rejection. Silence thus transformed into an armor, shielding them from a world quick to judge, yet slow to comprehend. The inner mechanism at play here is intricate. Each withheld sentence, every cautious hesitation before speaking, stems from an unconscious attempt to protect an inner self that once felt unsafe or unseen. Quiet individuals don't simply choose silence. They instinctively retreat into it, scanning constantly for emotional safety. Psychologically, this creates a heightened sense of empathy and sensitivity, enabling them to read subtle emotional signals others often overlook. Imagine a young boy sitting at the family dinner table, his excited chatter repeatedly cut short by dismissive laughter or irritated sighs from those around him. Slowly, without realizing, he learns silence. He begins observing instead of speaking, watching the tiny shifts of expression on faces around him. He masters the language of subtlety, recognizing pain behind smiles and truth behind polite lies. But while silence deepens his emotional perception, it simultaneously isolates him. His quiet becomes not only wisdom, but also loneliness, a sanctuary built from invisible walls. Reflect deeply for a moment. Has silence become your sanctuary too? Have you allowed childhood wounds and early misunderstandings to shape the way you connect or disconnect from others? Is silence protecting you or imprisoning you within your own careful isolation? Like a gardener pruning branches carefully, you've learned to trim your words, ensuring they only bloom when conditions are truly safe. But consider this: what if the silence you trust to protect you is also holding you back from authentic connection. Quiet people often move through life like gentle shadows, present yet easily overlooked. To an outsider, their silence may seem serene, but beneath the calm surface, they harbor an intricate landscape of emotions, anxieties, and reflections. Common behaviors emerge clearly. They hesitate before speaking, withdraw into solitude frequently, and avoid conversations that lack depth or meaning. Their emotions run deeply, yet they express them sparingly, often choosing subtlety over openness. Yet these quiet tendencies don't simply appear. They're carefully cultivated defenses, shaped by unseen injuries from their past. Those who grow up in environments where words became weapons, where speaking one's truth invited criticism, ridicule, or abandonment, learn early that vulnerability is dangerous. Silence, therefore, becomes their sanctuary, a refuge from the unpredictable storms of human interaction. This psychological mechanism, adaptive silence, operates quietly in the background of their minds. It isn't a conscious choice, but an instinctual strategy developed over time. The subconscious mind learns to weigh every potential word against possible rejection or misunderstanding. Thus, their internal dialogue becomes a ceaseless balancing act between authenticity and safety, a constant internal negotiation where self-expression often loses to self. Imagine silence as a sturdy glass wall surrounding their emotional world, transparent enough for others to notice their presence, yet solid enough to prevent true intimacy. Behind this barrier, quiet individuals can safely observe life without directly risking emotional exposure. Their greatest strength, this heightened awareness, also becomes their greatest burden, for they cannot simply turn off their acute sensitivity. Instead, they internalize the world's tensions and sorrows, quietly absorbing emotional weight until solitude becomes a necessity, not a luxury. The irony is profound. The deeper their understanding of others, the harder genuine connection becomes. They perceive intentions clearly, recognize insincerity instantly, and feel emotional dishonesty acutely. Yet, these insights rarely translate into closeness, because intimacy requires breaking the very silence that has protected them for years. Thus, their quietness is both a gift and a limitation, allowing depth of perception but often preventing depth of relationship. Consider the image of an old lighthouse standing vigil on a distant shore, quietly illuminating the darkness without moving closer. It sees clearly, guides softly, but always maintains a certain distance, protective yet isolated. Such is the quiet soul, deeply empathetic, endlessly observant, yet subtly unreachable. They long for genuine understanding but fear exposure. They crave connection but retreat at the slightest sign of emotional risk. Reflect honestly for a moment. Are you standing behind this invisible glass wall, protecting yourself from intimacy while longing to be truly seen? Has silence become your unconscious way of keeping emotional threats at bay, yet simultaneously preventing the very connection you desire? And perhaps most importantly, if your silence protects you, could it also be imprisoning you, keeping you quietly isolated in the very solitude you've grown accustomed to calling home? Healing begins quietly, within the gentle act of facing the truths you've carried silently for years. It starts not by forcing yourself to become louder or different, but by softly turning inward, listening to the subtle voice that has long whispered beneath your restraint. What might happen if, instead of hiding behind your silence, you gently touch the truth within, that your quietness isn't a flaw, but a pathway toward profound self-awareness? To truly heal, you must first recognize and honor your inner contradictions, the delicate tension between the need for expression and the instinct for protection. You've navigated life with caution, carefully stepping around moments where openness felt risky or dangerous. Now pause to gently acknowledge these patterns, not with judgment, but with compassionate curiosity. What memories and beliefs anchor this silence? Which hidden fears still quietly guide your choices today? Breaking free from old patterns requires tender courage. Imagine your inner world as an overgrown garden. Each tangled vine is an outdated belief, each weed a lingering fear. Healing is not aggressive pruning. It's lovingly and patiently tending to this garden, softly uprooting old beliefs and replacing them with seeds of authentic expression. With each step forward, you reclaim a bit more freedom, more authenticity, gently liberating yourself from a past that once defined you. This gentle unfolding calls you to embrace every aspect of your being, the calm, wise observer, and the vulnerable self longing for connection. Your silence isn't something to abandon. Rather, it's something to integrate with kindness. Just as night complements day, your introspective nature harmonizes with your desire for deeper relationships. When you finally allow yourself permission to speak from the heart, however quietly, your truth finds resonance beyond words alone. Transformation happens not in dramatic leaps, but in the quiet, consistent moments when you choose authenticity over habit. Each small shift builds momentum. One honest conversation, one gentle boundary, one brave moment of vulnerability at a time. Like water softly reshaping stone, these small choices gradually reshape the landscape of your life. Awakening, after all, is never a finished state. It is a continual unfolding, a mindful journey into deeper clarity and greater self-understanding. Consider beginning with this gentle daily practice. Each evening, find a quiet space to sit in silence for 5 minutes. In these few sacred moments, notice your breath. Without judgment, observe the emotions and thoughts that naturally arise. Acknowledge them softly without rushing to explain or suppress. Then quietly whisper to yourself one truth you've felt but never shared. Feel the relief as your inner self slowly learns that vulnerability no longer has to mean danger, and silence no longer needs to be a place of hiding. As you embark on this delicate journey towards self-integration, remember that your quiet presence has always been a gift. You do not have to become louder to matter. You simply need to grant yourself permission to be authentically heard. Healing, after all, isn't about becoming someone new. It's about gently uncovering the truth of who you've always been. If these words resonate with your journey, consider subscribing to our channel and exploring other thoughtful videos designed to support your path toward deeper self-awareness, healing, and inner peace. Here you'll find content that honors your quiet strength and invites you into mindful reflection, helping you gently unfold into the fullness of your being, one compassionate step at a time.